Hello, ladies and gentlemen, those who bounce in between. It's Comrade Dankey here today to talk to you about part 2 of this overlook into the alt-right. So, already I see some names that I covered in the first part, like Sargon of Akkad and fucking No Bullshit, and this dude, Mundane Matt. And notice how he's not really connected to anybody anymore. I don't know when this chart was made. 2017, 2018. This might have been before the Mundane Matt drama. I don't know. He's still on the chart though, so fuck him. But let's start with the big boys. And by big boys, I mean that entirely as a metaphor, because there's nothing big boy about big brain Ben Shapiro. He has some of the worst takes I've ever seen, but he's got a huge mainstream appeal. The Daily Wire has 1.69 million subscribers. That's 1.69 million assholes out there that think that people whose opinions like Ben Shapiro's are actually worth listening to. A real shame. It's quite frankly, it's sad and depressing to see how many views these people's videos get. Tens of thousands. I mean, his surprisingly is actually not that much, considering that some of these chuds get hundreds of thousands of views per video. I mean, there's this one that has, 313,000 views. But then there's this one over here that has a measly 7.4 thousand views. So it's, sort of lopsided. But Ben Shapiro has appeared on numerous platforms: Joe Rogan, Fox News, all over the media, all over, reactionary right-wing YouTube channels, podcasts. And in many ways, he's kind of like Dave Rubin. Except, admittedly, Dave Rubin is probably a lot dumber. The guy fancies himself the last true liberal, which is hilarious, because for those of you who are not up to date on your Dave Rubin lore, the guy used to be part of the Young Turks network, which is a network that I criticize on this channel for their liberal views. But nevertheless, Dave Rubin pretty much jumped ship when he saw how much of that Koch brothers money he could suck up, and he decided to do just that. Pretty much pulled a 180, said that, oh, all these liberals now are just totally crazy, dude. These identity politics, social justice warrior liberals are just insane. And I'm the last true liberal. I'm a classical liberal. He's very much like Sargon of Akkad in that aspect. Like, overwhelmingly right-wing. You could even argue, like, pretty much libertarian. You could say that, like, the alt-right in many aspects is sort of like the new libertarian movement. It's like libertarianism but packaged and shipped to millennials, impressionable young people. People like me, who are, in their 20s, college-aged, disenchanted with the world, looking for somebody to blame. And rather than take, objective analysis of society's ills, which leads inevitably to Marxist theory, you instead start blaming the femoids and the immigrants and the black people and the trans people and those college protesters that have the neon colored hair. I mean, it's like some old man shit. It's like, oh, them youngins on them college campuses with their clicky phones, they're, being too darn rowdy. It's basically that, but pushed by somebody like Dave Rubin, who's just young enough and like internet savvy enough to be able to like package that and make it palpable, at least for 1.05 million subscribers, which is fucking shameful. And then, speaking of Koch brothers money, let's talk about Prager University. Now, I covered Prager University in the very early days of this channel in a series called Prager U, and quite frankly, I cannot stand these guys. They are extremely well funded. They are basically an ideological think tank. They are an ideological think tank of the right wing here on the internet. And it is really hilarious to see just the kinds of people that find themselves popping up on PragerU, such as Jordan Peterson, I believe Tucker Carlson. Somewhere there's, I'm pretty sure Dave Rubin pops up on here somewhere. But, just look at some of their titles, like Who Needs Feminism, Why Capitalism Works, why they haven't what they haven't told you about climate change, the Charlottesville lie. I mean, it's just like, holy shit, man. Anyway, we covered them in the past, a series called PragerU. Pretty weird. Now we've got probably one of the biggest big boys of the alt-right reactionary network here on YouTube, Joe Rogan. Now, this pains me because I used to be like a Joe Rogan fan in like 2015 because I loved his podcast, especially with Joe Diaz on there, because I loved the wacky stories and the antics Joe Diaz would say. I liked his tales about, I like Joe Rogan telling tales about DMT and hunting elk and all kinds of weird shit, talking about jujitsu and, in other words, cool, just bro-y kind of crap. But then, towards the 2016 election, Joe started becoming more and more politically active, and he really began to show his colors with the kind of guests that he had appearing frequently on his show. Alex Jones, Ben Shapiro, Elon Musk. Here we have Bernie Sanders, so he has a token, Bernie Sanders. And to his credit, he also had Secular Talk, Jimmy Dore, and, I'm missing at least one other left-winger. But, he has some left-wingers on his show. But let's just compare. Let's compare and contrast. Here we've got Alex Jones on his show. He's got Jordan Peterson again, Jordan Peterson again, Jordan Peterson again, Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson again, Gavin McInnes, who's basically a Nazi. Let's see. It's just, he has Steven Crowder, Jordan Peterson again, Andrew Yang. We can go on and on and on, ladies and gentlemen, but the point is, are you getting a look at these video views, by the way? His Gavin McInnes video, for example, has 3 million views. That's 3 million potential people exposed to the Proud Boys and their Western chauvinist Nazi ideology. So thank you, Joe Rogan. Maybe you should smoke some more DMT and become more enlightened and stop having these alt-right pieces of shit chuds on your fucking channel. Holy shit. And now we're going old school, ladies and gentlemen, with 874,000 subs. We have our guy Thunderfoot, who, to his credit, made a series of videos, Why People Laugh at Creationists, which I credit partially with helping me unchudify myself. You know, he pretty much slapped me in the face and said, "Why are you a creationist, you dumb fuck?" And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Mockery works. Alright? You see people making fun of your ideology and pointing out the obvious, like, fucking flaws in it, and you can't really take your own ideology seriously anymore. When you have somebody who's science savvy, like Thunderfoot, pretty much tearing your whole worldview apart before your very eyes, and there's absolutely fuck all you can say about it because you know he's right, it's it's a sobering moment. But sadly, Thunderfoot pretty much abandoned that entire road. As you can see, this video is 12 fucking years old. This guy is old school. But he turned down the reactionary road, and he pretty much was the person to introduce me to the entire world of anti-feminism. And it was because of assholes like Thunderfoot that a younger Dankey went around saying, "I'm not a feminist, I'm a gender equalist." Or, you know, I remember specifically saying that to a girl back in the day. I wish I could travel back in time and fucking slap myself in the face and say, "What the fuck are you thinking?" Like, throw that fucking fedora in the trash. You know, I didn't wear a fedora, but metaphorically, throw that fedora in the fucking trash, Dankey. You know, grow a brain. Stop listening to these fucking chuds. And this is a lesson to be learned. That this sort of bullshit can happen to anybody. You can have a perfectly rational, reasonable scientist dude like Thunderfoot go down this reactionary chud road because their politics are bullshit. You can be smart in pretty much every other endeavor in your life, but I've learned personally that in the realm of politics and in the realm of religion, all that shit doesn't matter. You can be a dumb fucking asshole politically, religiously, and be really, really fucking smart in pretty much every other endeavor in your life. It's just, you know, for some, it's a realm beyond logic. But not for me, ladies and gentlemen. But moving on, we have this dude, Geeks and Gamers, who is new school. I very recently discovered Geeks and Gamers. I, like a lot of people, was very pissed off at the end of Game of Thrones. It was already pretty much a lost cause for me. As an avid fan of the books, I had pretty much made up my mind the series was bullshit after like season 7. Pretty much after season 6. I mean, let's be honest. But you know, just to see it through, I watched in horror the ending, and just to get a semblance of what the internet was reacting to this, I looked up Geeks and Gamers, and it was well into their coverage of the outrage over this episode, where they had very, you know, reasonable points that I shared. They pulled the old, "Oh, they did this to appeal to the SJWs and the diversity card." And that was when I immediately understood I was listening to a fucking reactionary chud channel. And then you have only to take a look at some of their videos where they are once again one of these pop culture, geek culture chuds that go around politicizing pretty much every comic book movie, every video game, every Star Wars movie that comes out, to the point where it just becomes obnoxious. All of these people, what they have to say is the same across all of these channels. What they cover is the same across all of these channels. And nevertheless, they are getting tens of thousands of views per video. It's like, who thinks that these ideas are original ideas? They are literally parroted by dozens of other accounts across this website, each one pulling in tens of thousands of views per video. So it's like these ideas are just being regurgitated again and again and again. And you see this sort of chud dogpile, this sort of clickbait circle jerk echo chamber of a community being created, and it permeates into all of these communities, into the comic book community. Try finding criticisms of Game of Thrones or Star Wars without the critic going into how it's all about the SJWs and trying to appeal to diversity or some kind of bullshit. Like, that is what it all boils down to. They hop up on their little anti-feminism soapbox and they just pepper in enough pop culture critiques to like justify themselves and give themselves like plausible deniability so that they can say, oh, I'm not like explicitly political, I'm a geek channel, I just like to talk about how the SJWs are ruining pretty much like everything in geek culture constantly. So we have this guy as well, Tim Pool. I mean, this guy is an alt-right conspiracy theorist. He is a chud out of water, ladies and gentlemen. 636,000 subs. And he reminds me kind of Mike Chernovich. I don't know if anybody else is getting those vibes, but he's kind of giving off some Gorilla Mind vibes. Mike Chernovich is, of course, somebody I'll have to discuss in the future, but it's just funny. He has a picture of the KKK with a with a strike through it, but nevertheless, just the fact that he's like allowed to put something like that on his thumbnail, and the video has 167,000 views, and it hasn't been censored for hate speech like all of my videos have. It's makes you think a little bit. Yeah, I mean, you can see here, I don't really even want to give this guy even more attention because, quite frankly, he's just another chud in the wall, ladies and gentlemen. All in all, he's just another chud in the wall. And speaking of chud, we have Chud Chen, aka the roaming millennial. That's, of course, what she used to go by. And she's a femoid, ladies and gentlemen. She is, of course, a woman, a proud woman, but nevertheless an alt-right conservative chud woman, which makes her a chudette, which makes her, in my opinion, even more pathetic than a chud, because we've all seen how these red pill Pepe boys treat women. We've all seen how they think about women. What they think women should be, how they think women should act, and it's pretty pathetic to see women actually shilling for this sort of red pill ideology. Of course, she's gonna call me an ID poll SJW, but I don't give a flying fuck. We can't ignore realities here, Lauren Chen. That you're a chud, Chen, and you're a chudette, which, is pretty fucking sad. And we end this episode with our favorite butt plug enthusiast, Gavin McInnes, with 364,000 subscribers. And this is what it all boils down to, ladies and gentlemen. Let's say you're a kid who is like into MMA. You're just some kind of weird asshole from Tennessee who really likes MMA for some reason. Let's say your name's Dankey, alright? And let's say Dankey starts watching Joe Rogan, and Dankey doesn't know jack shit about politics. And then he sees this guy, Gavin McInnes, on a show talking about his group, the Proud Boys, and how they stand up for the West, and that, they're proud to be men, and yada, yada, yada. And that might make somebody who is, like, down in the dumps, or, like, feeling low self-esteem or something, feel kind of attracted to that ideology. And we've seen his videos, Joe Rogan's videos with Gavin McInnes, getting millions of views. And it's a pipeline, ladies and gentlemen. You start listening to Gavin McInnes, you start listening to the Proud Boys, and you essentially become an American Nazi. So that's that, ladies and gentlemen. Overview part 2 of the alt-right. Kind of sad, kind of gross. Makes me want to go take a shower, basically, because I feel dirty having just even looked at these people's fucking channels. And you better believe I'm gonna get their fucking videos recommended in my sidebar now that I've had to put them into my search. Fucking sucks, dude. Might have to like delete all my cookies and just like do a fresh default factory reboot of this fucking internet browser just so I don't have to like look at this asshole's videos. But anyway, stay tuned for next time. Hopefully the music won't cut out halfway through. SoundCloud started playing ads, so I'm poor as fuck. I can't fucking afford a SoundCloud subscription. So, you know, there's nothing I can do about it. It sucks. I'm gonna have to find a way, though. Dankey finds a way. The music will be back because I can't deal without it.